I think we can safely say it's coming close to Christmas now, so I can do this. Want to make a Christmas pud pom-pom? Keep watching. Hi everyone! This is a really quick little video I wanted to do for you because I recently was able to do a little project and it seemed really popular in amongst Facebook groups, etc. And I thought I'd share what I did on here. Apologies first for the lighting situation. I'm fighting against natural light and bad light bulbs, so it is what it is, and I'm fighting a cold. So I'm going to be using one of the Clover Pom-Pom Makers. This is a set of two that you can get from Hobbycraft. I'll leave a link down in the description. It's £7 for the two. You've got a 65mm and an 85mm, and that's the diameter of the pom-pom you're going to get. And for the purposes of today, we are going to be using the bigger one because then you can see what I'm doing. So we'll get rid of that. Now, just a quick thing on Pom-Pom Makers. You can do it the traditional way where you get the two circles of cardboard, put them together and you keep threading and threading and threading. The problem is it takes a long time, and once you've used one of these or something like this, you never go back. These are incredible. I really enjoy using them, and it takes a fraction of the time. Basically it comes apart like this. And these pieces mean that you can actually separate it out from the pom-pom and make things, it makes it easier to unload it. It also comes apart in the middle, like that, so you can finally remove it. Right, so you are going to need your pom-pom maker, you're going to need some brown wool, some white wool. I've gone for one with a bit of a sparkle in it, not that you can really tell on here, but it just looks great. You'll also need some green felt. I've gone for some glittery felt, but that is entirely up to you. Some red sleigh bells. The thread that comes with the sleigh bells, it normally comes in the packs, especially around Christmas time. A big pair of scissors, a small pair of scissors, preferably with a sharp little point bit on it like that, but as long as they're small scissors you'll be alright. Good old fashioned pen, preferably a Sharpie, but whatever you can get your hands on. Some thin washi tape, any will do. A hole punch, it can be a single one or just a normal hole punch, but this isn't an absolute necessary. I will tell you how we can get around it. And that's it. So, first things first, let's make a start with the pom-pom maker. Right, what you need to do is you have to think about, you're going to be making your pom-pom and it's going to be brown on the bottom and white on the top. So you have to think, if you try and do it, that this is either side here, when you put your thread through it, you're going to end up with white on one side and brown on the other, not top and bottom. So you have to think this way, okay? And it'll come clear once I start doing it. So what we need to do is work out where the brown and the white are going to start and finish. So, taking your pom-pom maker, put an imaginary line just over halfway across, and that is where your white is going to go. And to make it a little bit easier, you can get a bit of washi tape and just mark it roughly where you're going to want it. Okay, so when you close it up, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just lets you know where it's going to go. I'm not going to do it on the other side because I'm going to, just keep track of it, but you can put it on both sides and then you know what you're doing. Okay, now I always start with the brown, and this is where these frames come in handy, because otherwise you'd have to reel some off and then thread it through, thread it through, thread it through. You don't have to do that. Now you don't need to tie it on either, so I'm just going to start it this way around because it's easier for me to hold. Just holding it like that, I'm all fingers and thumbs, and then we start wrapping. Like so. Keeping these two sections together, because that's the trough that you're going to run your scissors down. So, and you just wind on. You don't have to tie it on. Just wind it on. Don't get your thread over the ends of these feet, because otherwise that's going to be a real problem when you come to cutting it off. So I'm going to flip it back round so you can see where I am with the marker. So I'm going to fill my brown up until that line, and then I'm going to stop. So I'm going to go do that now. Now as I'm going, I just want to point out that I've gone right up to where the washi tape edge is, but also if you notice, as I'm winding on, this end is thicker than this end. I want it to taper slightly because we're going to overlap the white onto the brown. So you need to keep going until this is absolutely full, but you need to also make sure you've got that slight taper. It just merges it in nicer, it looks nicer, and you know, that little bit of a higgledy-piggledy line, can't even talk, the higgledy-piggledy line actually helps to make it look a bit more like a Christmas pudding with cream on top. So I'm going to carry on winding this on until it's full, and I'll be back in a minute. And what I've done is I've just come to the end of it, and I've tried to make sure that I stop on the tapered end. Okay? The more wool you can get onto this, the tighter and more firm and more secure your pom-pom will be, because you've got to remember these are lots of little threads you're going to be joining together. So if it's nice and tight, you're less likely for it to fall apart. I learned that the hard way. Next up, we need to get our white wool. Now remember the tapering, we've done it so that we can carry on with the white. Now all you need to do is lay it over the end. Now this will secure that loose end from the brown. And then you just keep winding on again. There we go, so that's nice and secure now. So keep winding. There's a lot of winding involved, and off we go. Again, fill it until it is absolutely stuffed and level, which I will go do now. And there we go, I've rounded on, and as you can see, I've really filled this up, so it'll be a snug fit, and it'll be nice and tight, plenty of wool in there. So you close it up, and it should be a good snug fit, which means it holds that loose thread right in the middle there, so you don't have to worry about it. So we're going to just trim that off like so, and that's one side. Now you're going to have to do the same on this side, but remember it opens from the other way, so you're going to have to go from brown to white that way, or if you're like me and you hold it out that way, it'll be brown to white. Okay, so I'm going to go do that, and we should have a finished product in a second. And there we go. Now you can see, if you were going to be using the cardboard route, that you would just wind on the brown and then halfway around go on to white. It's not that difficult. I know that these are wonky, but actually I don't care. Nothing I do is perfect, and that's perfect as far as I'm concerned. That's that done. Now we have to cut it, and this is where our small scissors come in. Okay. So I'm going to get and cut this, and I'll show you how to do it. The best way to do it with these, because the Pom-Pom Makers, they try and pop open, I put my thumb over the bit that flips up, and I go from the hinge end. So taking my scissors, I'm using the pointy side into there, so it's nice and fine and it can get right in there, and I'm going to try and keep my cut as straight as humanly possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I just start to cut. And what's happening is the blade is following the little gap underneath. Unfortunately, bigger scissors are not better for this job. Don't cut your thumb. I've nearly done that a couple of times. Okay, that's a bit satisfying. Make sure when you go through you get every single thread all the way around. Flip it over. Do the same on the other side. Okay, and so that will be all cut now. Don't take it apart at this point. That would be so bad. Now what we need to do is make sure that when we tie this together, we've got our loop in the right place. Don't tie it here, or here, or here. You want to make sure you tie it up here, because then it'll hang properly. So what I do is I get some brown wool, and what I actually do is I fold it in half. And you need a good length. It's got to go the entire circumference of this and give you some extra. So if it's too long, it's not really a problem because you can just tie it shorter. So there's my thing. So I'll spin it around so I can see what I'm doing. So you put it into the gap in the middle. You bring it round. And then up here, you bring it up. Single knot, and you pull, giving it a wiggle as you go, making sure it lines up. See, I'm going to end up with loads, but that doesn't matter. And fiddle around with it then, don't do it when you've done the second knot, because otherwise you're going to end up in a bit of a problem. And then do the same again, another knot. Alright, sorry, my phone went off, but yeah. That's why it went quiet very quickly, but yeah, so we tied this off, so it should now just about, here we go, a bit of a fiddle, hang in the centre. Okay, it will take a bit of fiddling around, so you know, fiddle around with it before you do your second knot. And I've trimmed the excess off just down in there against the plastic. Okay, now the magic moment. Grab your little paddles on there and pull. You will get some bits come out, that's fine. And then this one. Don't be afraid to be a bit brutal because you've really wedged it all in there, and then you pop it apart. Bit of a zhuzh, and there is your Christmas pudding, and you're going to have tufty bits all over it. Can you see there? There we go, you got your tufty bits, and this is where the big scissors come in. So let's take these out of one side. This is where your big scissors come in, because you're going to use that to trim off excess and give it a bit of a haircut until it's not as lumpy bumpy. And you just shush it. As you can see, I'm starting to get rid of all the long bits, all the teeny tiny bits that's sticking out. Don't hack straight into it, you will end up with massive holes. Use the big blades to rest against it. Just take the little bits off. You should be taking tiny, tiny little bits off. Alright, you take your save bells, and obviously you've got a little loop on the top of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the threads that you get given with these, because this works fine, and you're gonna thread through one and then the other. Oh, come on, it's always a bit fiddly. So they're both on the string. Now I don't want to tie them tight, I want to leave a little bit of a loop because the thread from the pom-pom is going to go through here. So we're going to tie them off loosely. So you've got a little loop in there now. Okay, so we're going to trim off the excess like that, and that is ready for those to be threaded onto the pom-pom. Taking your green felt, you're going to need to make 2 holly leaves. So I flip it over. I've got this glittery stuff. You don't have to use glittery, you can just use normal bog standard felt. I just found this and I thought it was quite seasonal. Now I can't draw, I'm an artist and I struggle with holly leaves, but I'm going to get and draw some and then we're going to cut them out. Okay, so my camera battery died, but I've gone and cut out my 2 holly leaves, and the next thing I need to do is I need to punch holes in them. So you can use any kind of hole punch. I've got a single hole punch. It won't cut through completely because mine's really old, but it will get most of it through. You can just fold it in half and cut a little triangle out and then you'll end up with a little diamond there, as long as the thread can go through. So we're going to So they're ready to go now as well, so they can go over each other like that. Next we need to construct it also. Bringing in our pom-pom, which has been all trimmed nicely. Again, sorry for the sunlight. And what we do is we thread these onto the pom-pom. Nope. 1 and 2, like that. So that's good to go like that. So that's all threaded on. Then we take our berries or sleigh bells, whatever you want to call them. I'm calling them berries because that's what they're going to end up being. And we got to thread them on. This gets fiddly, but you can do it. Come on through. Oop, oop, oop. There we go, and they're threaded on now. So they're on like that. And what I like to do is I just wrap the wool back underneath like this, so you end up with a big loop in the middle. And then holding your berries back down on it, pull it tight because otherwise they'll pop off. There we go. Give it a bit of a zhuzh. Pull these out a bit. Give it a quick fiddle around. Just getting the leaves how you want them. And hopefully when you lift, there we go. And that's your Christmas pom-pom all ready to go. So, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope that was simple enough to follow, but that is how you make a Christmas pud pom-pom. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. You can follow me on Instagram under Magpie Rooks. You can follow me on Facebook at Everything CK Rachel. I'm also on Twitter and Snapchat at CK Rachel. And if you've got any challenges or any pattern sheets or anything you want to send me, I also have a PO box, and that's down in the description at the bottom. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye!